Welcome to the Aligned Ambition Show, where we share women's entrepreneurial wisdom. Are you a woman starting or growing your online heart-centered business? Are you wanting to do things differently? Do you feel icky about using manipulative marketing tactics and are ready to align your business with your ethics, values, and life goals? If this sounds like you, then stick around for this conversation.
We're the dreamers, the believers, breaking through the mold, building up our visions with a purpose brave and bold.
So welcome to the Aligned Ambition Show. I'm your host, Larissa Russell, and today I have with me Kemina, a transformational leader and energetic recalibration expert. I love that. With over a decade of experience helping thousands break free from limitations and align with their true essence. As the creator of Body Flow Energetics and Soul Flow Self-Mastery, that's a mouthful, and she makes deep transformation accessible and powerful, blending energy mastery and practical tools for lasting change at the core. So welcome, Kemina.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm excited. I think energy work of any kind, awesome, especially as women in business. We've been taught that we have to push, push, push. We really need to look after ourselves, and energy is such a big part of that. So let's just start with, can you share a little bit more about you and how you ended up doing what you do?
I've been in big corporate businesses. I was working in advertising for 16 years and worked with all the big corporations and organizations. And so I know what the hustle is like. I know what the burnout is like, and the drive and the push to do more in less time and less money, and work with the egos and the KPIs and all of those things on a really high scale. And I just found it completely soul destroying. And I was sick, I was in pain, I was depressed. I could barely stand up for longer than 10 minutes without my back being in excruciating pain. And I could honestly say now, if I hadn't done the work I've done, I'd probably be dead. And so I was trying all the things to heal myself, and I went to acupuncturist, you name it, I tried it. And then I ended up just like moving cities because that's got to be the answer. And then one day my housemate said to me, you need to go to the Mind Body Spirit Festival. And so that's one of those festivals with all the crystals and the tarot cards and all the things. Yeah. And she said, oh, you need to go. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll go. And the next day she said to me, did you go? And I went, no, I didn't. She said, you've got to go. And I went, I'll go. And so I went to the Mind Body Spirit Festival, and there's this one little stand there that was a kinesiology stand. And I had this thought, and I was like, oh, I've always wanted to try kinesiology. And then I went, wait a second, I don't think I've ever heard of it before. And that was just this really strange thought to me. I'm like, what the hell is that about? Where did that come from? So I was like, I've got to try it now. So I went and had this little 20-minute session, and it blew my mind. I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I love learning. I am driven by just understanding how things work. It's one of my drivers, wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a kinesiology school. So the next thing I knew, I'd signed up and I was learning how to do that. And that kind of set me on my path. Kinesiology was a nice little foundation, but I was like, if I have to peel off one layer at a time, I'm literally going to be here for thousands of years. And so that's not going to work. So then that set off a whole new chain of events of setting me on another path. So it's just a path that I'm given little guidance as I go.
Yeah, I love that. And that little voice that you heard that you actually went, wait a second, right? So obviously that's something I need to check that out. And I think that's such an important part.
And I think especially when you're not really in tune with your intuition that clearly, sometimes your guides or your higher self or whatever it is have to give you these really obscure messages because you won't pay attention otherwise.
It's so true, because we've been taught not to pay attention to our own intuition, what's going on, our higher power. And so, yeah, it's going to get our attention somehow. Oh, I absolutely love that. And so then you just started learning more and more about energy work and different things, I'm assuming. And where
I
has
guess
that landed you now?
I asked the big question, which was, how do I get there faster in what's a more powerful way? So I did. I spent over a decade just soul searching and seeking the answers. I've discovered ancient Egyptian ways of doing things, and I created a modality, body flow energetics, that has been taught in 3 countries around the world. And then I was like, one day I went through another personal crisis, lived. I've had all the joys and all the lows that anyone could have. And my partner tried to kill me. And then I was working with some people in this, we were working together with some people in the spiritual industry, and they scapegoated me. And this just completely rocked my world. It was like, these are people who are supposed to be soul driven, but they were driven by the dollar. And I just shattered me. And I knew all the things. I'd been doing all the things, and I was doing everything I knew to pull myself out of this hole that I got in, and it wasn't working. And I was like, I'm missing something, because I can't live like this. I feel shit. And there has to be a way out. So I had to find a way out. And I found the things that I was missing in my process. And so that led me to create Soul Flow, which is about self-mastery. It's what most people are doing, is because if you look at business, for example, it's an extension of your energy field, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're off, it's off. And when you're in flow, it expands with you. So I kind of had to put my business to the side and focus on me, because I couldn't help people in that state, and it wasn't right. I was like, I need to make sure that I'm aligned, and that I'm not that I'm really connected with source, so that how I'm helping them is actually what's best for them. And so I had to learn to go with the flow again. And it was hard, but I found the keys. And it's what was happening is, we've got all of these distortions in our energy field.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about locating what these distortions are and removing them, so you don't leave even fragments or remnants of them. You want to remove all of it. And what I was finding, that I wasn't fully removing it. I was leaving this, because what your energy field is what you're broadcasting 24/7. And so what's going on there is affecting your physical body and your life as well. And what affects your physical affects your energetics, as above, so below.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I had to work out where I was going wrong. And it's an entire system. You can't just focus on one area or another. It needs to be a holistic look at it and recalibrate your energy from the foundation up. If you're just like coming at it with a little pickaxe and you've got a mountain, you're getting nowhere really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, how do I bring down the mountain of trauma? I don't even want an anthill.
I totally understand that one. And I just want to just back up a moment, because you mentioned about in business, like how do you all of this energy, especially for women, we it's all one, right? And so if we're not working on our own selves, that's going to show up in our business. And so that work needs to be done for us to be able to move forward in a sustainable, healthy way for us. And that's a really important part, I think, of what's missing in our culture. And so we really need to pay attention to that. Can you just give us a high level of what the work is that you do? Because I'm curious.
I help people master being human.
Mm-hmm.
I move beyond mindset, strategy, habits, because if your energy isn't aligned, you're just pushing harder in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all been there, just going round in circles and going nowhere fast. And it's frustrating and exhausting. And so what I do is I take people through break it down to the most simplistic way of transforming, what's actually necessary and what's not. And I've worked with thousands of people all over the world for over a decade. And on top of that, because I have this drive for wisdom, I also don't have kids. So I managed, because of that, I've been able to focus. And I've spent over a decade really focusing on what's actually necessary. And most people can't because it's consuming. And so I've saved people. I've worked out how to do this. You need to look at the trauma that's sitting in your energy field from wherever it originated, most likely in a past life. And then you've got all the ancestral trauma. If you look at the history of the world, it was pretty gruesome. And we've passed that down and passed that down and passed that down. And there's actually a really ridiculously simple way of removing that. And then the third thing that I look at is, so we've got the personal trauma, the ancestral trauma, we've got universal trauma, and then we've got interference sitting in our field. So this is us, and we're trying to get to all of these different traumas and detach from them. But around us is all of this interference. And so this is that kind of woo-woo-y stuff where it's like psychic attacks or entities or energetic devices and things like that, that are stopping us from really connecting. So you just need to remove all of that so we can get to these stories and get back to who we really are. Who we really are is not an exhausted, burnt out, half-living kind of person. That's not who we truly are. Our true self is one that's just happy and joyful and navigates things with ease and grace. And that's what I help people do.
I love that. I think it's such an important part. I find that people are like, I don't know what my purpose is. And it's really, I feel, it's not so much about the purpose. It's like uncovering who you are because you're in there. And then that just comes with it, right? You don't go seeking what that thing is because you have to uncover who you are. And I really didn't understand that until probably the last 10 years, even though I'd been doing so much work on myself over the years. And it wasn't until I got to a certain point, it's like, am I not fixed yet? I'm not fixed. And then it's, oh, wait a second. I have to figure out who I am. And then you can start, for me, I could start peeling some of that off. And it makes such a difference. And business is tied to that 100%. And as you took some time, then you said to sort of work on yourself and then back into your business. And did you find that there was a big difference from like originally being in your business and then after you took that
Yeah,
time?
like I had to relearn my business all over again because I was recognized where I was coming from a place of force or focused too much on strategy rather than magnetic presence. And that's all energy mastery. I was operating from a place of stress and fear and force in certain areas. And it was like, that's not how I want to live my life anymore. I want to come from a place of joy. And that's just a very different way of looking at the world. It's how you approach things is very different. And it's actually simpler, but it's just different. I had to just go through that transition phase. And I've had many clients who have gone through that phase as well. And some of them have gone through it for years. And I don't want people to go through that. It doesn't have to take that long. It is a transition, but it can be done quite quickly. And that's what I guide people through is from moving from a place of fear and force to a place of joy as your driving force. And that's when you're magnetic and people come to you. You attract your clients rather than having to go out and look for them.
Yeah, that energy is completely different. And we've been taught in this world to be that to sort of come from that place of lack, right? And then so we're always scrambling and always having to work harder and be more competitive and all of those things. When we actually work on becoming, as you said, more magnetic, they come to us and it's completely different. Absolutely. So if someone was starting out on their business and they're hearing this now, what is one thing that you could tell them that would be a step in the right direction for them?
Just focus on energy mastery. That's the game changer. If you can understand your energy, then you can understand what you're putting out to the world and how people are perceiving it. Otherwise, you're just going to get keeping stuck in that trap and of exhaustion and going round in circles.
Yeah, it's really
And
important.
that's not fun.
No, it's not. No, it's definitely not, as someone who's been there. And you have some tools for them. We have a link that we'll put below, different tools that they can use to align, recalibrate, and step into your highest flow, it says here. And can you tell us a little bit about them?
Sure, they're all different things. One of the most important things we can do is self-love and proper self-love, not this looking for love from others. Business doesn't work. It's an outdated view of love. So I teach people love 2.0, and it's a different kind of love where you're loving from your soul. And so I have a free meditation for everybody that they can have a look at, or I have a free 30-minute organ and gland vitality audit, so I can check out the vitality of each of your organs and glands. So that will tell us where, and I do that personally, so I can see where your weakest areas of your body are. Because if you've got stuff going on, there's so many things you can do, and it's what do I do? So if we know where your weakest areas are, that's where you need to focus, and that will give you the biggest bang for buck. But what it will also do is show you, because if you have a look at Chinese medicine, they say each of the organs and glands stores different stories. So for example, the liver stores anger. And we can see that when people get drunk, they get really angry. It's because the alcohol is really triggering their liver. So we can see the stories that are holding you down and holding you back, and where your weakest areas are, just by doing a little audit, and it just gives you a bit more direction and focus.
I love that. So we'll make sure the link's there so that they can check that out. And I want to thank you. Is there any final thoughts that you want to share that we maybe didn't cover today?
Oh, your energy is either working for you or against you. Soul flow, make sure it works for you.
All right. I love that. I think that's an important one. So again, I want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
All right. And to our listeners, we will see you again next time on the Aligned Ambition Show. Are you a woman interested in aligning your heart-centered business with your ethics, values, and life goals? Join our Aligned Business Building Mastermind for accountability, like-minded women who become your business colleagues to share your journey with, resources and trainings, and so much more. Join us for 1 month free using the link below. Thank you, and we'll see you next time on the Aligned Ambition Show.